Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host. And I'm wondering how many of you are shamans? Do you see yourself as a shaman? Do you know any shamans? What is a shaman? And how can shamanism help us explain the changing world that we're in? And so to help us know better about that information is a man who I've interviewed before. He's a very well-known shaman and has great information for us for today, for today's world that we're trying to understand better. And so I'm so glad that Itzhak Beery is available to be back on Energy Stew. Welcome back, Itzhak.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Peter.
And and it's fascinating that because we've talked about your background and where you're from and how come you're a shaman. I mean, are you this born Peruvian Indian or what is it that and it's fascinating because you do come from a spiritual heritage, and you've just been drawn to this work because of that.
Well, I am the son of Eastern European Jews from Poland and Belarus, and which came to Israel quite a few years ago. I was born there, and I was raised in a kibbutz, in a commune that is totally atheist or totally non-religion or non-spiritual. But what we did have is we did celebrate all nature holidays, like Passover and all the New Year and the gathering of the fruits so we celebrate nature, and which is basically very similar to the shamanic work. So that was my training. We lived on the mountain and on the mountain slope, so we knew every flower and every stone, every cave, everything that nature, any animal that presented us. So we had a very intimate relationship with nature. It was only like many years later that I found out that my grandfather was a Kabbalistic rabbi and healer. That was many years after I already started to do that. But I never set to become a shaman or a healer or anything like that. I was a painter. I was a fine artist for many years. And to support myself, I had a graphic design advertising business in Manhattan, in New York City. Until one day when I got to my midlife crisis, I just that really didn't satisfy me anymore, and I was getting really depressed. I'd ask the big questions: why I'm here? What's wrong with me? What is the purpose of this life? Why and I happened to read a book about shamanic experiences of Hank Wesselman, and that led me to take another workshop with Michael Honor. Then I took another trip to Ecuador with John Perkins, and there I met quite a few shamans, but one of them became my teacher, or I became his apprentice, and I spent a few years working with him on and off in Ecuador and in New York, being his helper. I never really wanted to do this work because it was too dangerous and too difficult, and I didn't want to take the responsibility. But I guess my life or God had a different purpose for me, and I was guided to do this work. But one of the things that is, like you said, that is very important is that my teacher Ipupiara from Brazil used to, and the people, the shamans in Brazil or Page in Brazil, they all believe that we are all shamans. We are all spiritual beings, that God gave us all the DNA necessary to heal other people. we have dreams, we have visions, we have the ability to hug, to kiss, to give water, to sing for somebody, to give, to make tea and soup and heal, because it's not unusual. It's just really what our a survival mechanism needs for each to take care of each other, to help each other. So
That's fascinating, because that has to do with living authentically in the magic, the magic of your daily foods, and understand that they're natural sources and how holy that is.
yes, and I think that is, like for a lot of people says, oh, I'm not spiritual, oh, I'm not a shaman, oh, I'm not this, or I'm not that. That's not possible. Uh, uh, the Any person who can dream, or any person who can have daydreams, any person who can sing a song to make other person happy, or hug them, or give them water, or make them soup, or just make sure that you can cry for somebody or feel something for someone, you are a healer. And it's not something unusual. It's just that how God made us to be able to support for the survival of the human race. And so if we acknowledge it or not, we are all shamans. Now
Right.
that doesn't mean that you have to do this work, but you have to take the responsibility for that.
But I think knowing that you're a shaman and being guided to be in the work of a shaman is different, because it gives you the opportunity to explore more tools, more, more of the habits of a shaman to help people with.
Well, I did not want to do this work, and I didn't want to be called a shaman, or I don't still call myself a shaman. I'm just like playing around with that, I'm doing the work. Uh, Sometimes quite successfully, sometimes maybe not. I'm just doing what I came here to do. Um, in the Ecuadorian Brazilian tradition, you're not calling yourself a shaman. It's the community or the people that you are doing work with that they give you that name, or they treat you like that. And so I don't think that I know much. I only know what I know, and there's always more to know. But with what you know, you want to make other people's life better, or help them, and to make, or in the language of the Amazon, is to make other people's dreams come true. And that's the role of the shaman, really, is how to make other people's life dreams come true.
Right. And I think a lot of the tools you use, the techniques, skills that you have, excite certain people who want to explore that and use that you can teach them. And so you really have a facility to help people in a particular way that you've been learning.
Well, in many ways, my role as a teacher of that practice is to not so much to teach them, but to reawakening their memory of what it means to be human. Um, because it's all ingrained in our DNA, and our connection through our connection to nature, elements, animal, trees, plants, and all that. We naturally, God gave us those gifts. So it's really the role of the shaman is to allow the client to reconnect with the cosmic forces of the universe, to become one with. So then healing can be done, because when the belief in the shamanic tradition is that you get sick when you are not in alignment with the four elements, or with the cosmic forces. And so our role is to take away all the blocks that you create yourself, or other people create yourself, to reconnect you with. So not our culture is about separation of a human from nature. or creating shields and protection, and that's what we call civilization. The role of the shaman is to reconnect you with that, so you could be strong, powerful, and continue the river flow.
And while you're speaking, I'm thinking of a couple of shamanic journeys I did that used a drum beat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sound, and then the idea is to picture yourself in nature and submerge yourself in a way that you can journey through it and discover answers to what your questions are.
Yeah, so we use different techniques to get into connection with the cosmic forces, you can call it. Drum beat is one of them, the repetitive sound, which enable the vibrations of the brain to go down from the beta into the alpha to the dream state. And then we use rattle for the same way, or we use sometimes plant medicine, ayahuasca, San Pedro, and other drinks like that to get you into another dimension, to reconnect you with another dimension. So it's all techniques, but the real work is, as I said before when we talked, is about how a shaman can be operating on this level and be in another level. So in the two worlds together. So it's like the shaman is in between the world, in between the reality world and in between what we call reality and what we call the unseen world, or the shamanic state of consciousness. But with have to have that the soul or the drone seeing it at the same time and direct the action to create demonstrable actions.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. So in in this world of nature that teaches us so much about ourselves, there are symbols, and I read an article that you wrote about the symbols that represent the time we're in, and you and I, we've talked that we know that this time we're in has been predicted for thousands of years, and that we're now experiencing something that our souls came here for, that we're only in discovery about, so we can perform correctly for what our souls need. And so you talked about symbols, and these are shamanic. These are, because shamans use nature to understand life. And so you had the symbols of the eagle versus the condor, and how that represents the changing times that we're in.
Yeah. So it in the high Andes of Ecuador, I don't know if it's in other places, they have this prophecy, the ancient prophecy of the condor and the eagle, and they in this culture they count the time in batches of period of time of 500 years. In their tradition, in 1492, it was a beginning of a new Pachacuti. Pachacuti means correction of time, where the Spaniard came and conquered South America, and they knew that it's going to be for a period of 500 years. 500 years later, at 1992, the new Pachacuti began. And this Pachacuti is the Pachacuti of the condor and the eagle. It's the Pachacuti of a correction of time, where the condor, or the cultures of the south and the culture of the north will start flying together in flight of harmony and beauty and peaceful and cooperation in the blue sky.
Well, let's talk about why they haven't been together before, and the nature of this last 500 years, based on perhaps the strength of the eagle maybe overcoming the qualities of the condor.
Yes, so it's based on this idea that the West is symbolized by the predator, killer, industrial, territorial eagle.
And you can even say north versus south or east versus west, right?
It's the north. I mean, most of it is the north. If you look at so if you look 500 years, these are the 500 years of a masculine energy that is conquer, that occupy other lands, and you can see that the image of the eagle is used by many many countries or many cultures in the north, like the Roman, like the Nazis, the United States. All of those are masculine armament, industrialized countries.
Right. So the eagle has a very important symbol of masculine strength.
Exactly. It's a powerful killer, builder, territorial, and which is kind of like you could say similar to the countries that are adopted that symbol on their flags and on their in their logos or symbols.
It all makes sense.
Now, the condor, for instance, is on at least 5 different countries' flags in South America because it represents the feminine energy. It represents living with the earth. It's about sharing because the condor does not eat the whole dead animal. They don't kill. They just eat the animal that died naturally. They don't eat the whole animal. They eat only part of the animals and leave for other animals to eat. They live in communities where everybody taking care of each other. They don't build nests. They just make they lay their eggs on the cervix of the cliffs. So it is a very different culture and characters. But so each one of them. So the prophecy is not that the condor and the eagle will merge or become a whole different animal. The prophecy is that they are both starts to know each other and exchange with each other. So the people of the South will start to learn to be more logical, to be more industrialized, more digital, more accept all our technology. And the people of the North, which is what we are, is to accept that we have to take care of the environment. We have to
and each other.
And each other. That there is a beauty in diversity. That there is beauty in keeping, helping out the earth, the forest, the water, the air.
Yeah.
That there is a beautiful in community. That there's beauty of that, and so it's not like this Pachacuti is not about merging or becoming one animal. No, it's about recognition and responsibility that both cultures need to take in order for us as human beings to maintain life on this earth.
And they have to really wake up to understand that they need that cooperation. You know, the eagle can't dominate and destroy in the way that it had, but it has strengths that can be well used if it understands the purpose of the condor.
Absolutely. And also the recognition that people from the South or the people of the condor, they need our technology. It's not an option. In order for them to survive in this world, they need the technology that we and the logical development that we have. But it's the recognition that we need of each other what works.
Right. That's beautiful. So let's talk now also another symbolism that you wrote about of 2 rivers coming together.
Yeah, so if you've been to the Rio Negro um, in Brazil, it around the the town or the area of Manaus in the north, there is the Rio Negro and another tributary of the Amazon. They merge together to create the big Amazon. And what's so beautiful, that place is a very sacred, holy place for the Manao, or the tribes of Manaus, or the area. And every year they come there to make a special ceremony to Yara. And Yara have different name. Some people call her Yamanja, Yamanja. It, but the original name of the indigenous people there is Yara. And sometimes you see, if you buy a bottle of water in Brazil, the bottle called Yara. It's the goddesses of all water. She's in charge of the river, of the rain, and of course it's very important because the Amazon is all about water, the transportation, the food, everything that it comes from that. So Yara, that place where the two rivers come together, is a sacred place because it brings the two different energies. The energies of the Rio Negro, which is a warmer, slower river that comes from Peru and the Andes down into that area. And then they meet with the Red River, which is much colder and has a faster flow. And when they meet, they bring all those trees and debris and water bottle plastics and everything that is they take from miles and miles and miles away, and they bring it into that area. And the two rivers cannot really merge. It takes them about 5 miles, slowly, to equalize their temperature, to equalize the pH, to equalize the speed, so they can flow together as one river. And I believe that we are now in the Condor and the Eagle time, and we are here in where the two rivers, the two period of time, are trying to merge together. Now, what happened in period like that, and if you are one of those pieces of wood that are floating in the river, you feel all the turbulence, you feel all the difficulties, you feel and you don't really know if it's going to be over with.
So it's like us.
Exactly, it's exactly like us. So if you go through like that, and you are have no higher perspective of that, every hiccup, every difficulties, everything that happened around you can scare you away. I think that's the important part, is to understand that it takes time for the two rivers to merge.
To allow ourselves to be in the process of discovery to get to a future that we can't see at this point.
Yeah, so in many ways it's being like in the eye of the storm, and not to think that it will always be like that.
Right.
That is the process of it. So the eagle and the condor at the end, they will fly together. And when they do, a new period of time will come. And it's the period of the new Pachacuti, the period of the return of the feminine energy. So the last 500 years was the expression of masculinity, of action, killing, industrialization, logic, what the eagle represents. The new Pachacuti is about the return of the feminine energy, the return of faith, spirit, intuition, nurturing, a more loving, peaceful world, a more harmonious world.
It's wonderful.
And I think that what happened here, if you can imagine it in your mind, that all of those people who were born in the last century, in the last Pachacuti, they are all fighting it because
Sure, because they're used to it.
they're used to it, and they don't know what the future will take
Exactly.
them.
So it's frightening. Well, we only have about a minute and a half left of the show because the time goes so fast. And I want people to know where to find you and buy your books, etc.
Well, they can find me on my website, and my website is just my name.com, so itzhakbeery.com. I wrote 3 books. One of them is The Gift of Shamanism. It's about the power of vision, how it can help you in your life and in your to understand your dream, to understand your vision, and how to use that for healing. The second book is about accounts of other shamans who have a moment of discovery. You call it enlightenment, but how that happened, what before and what happened, how this happened. It's beautiful because, in essence, it's a very intimate. It's not like the official stories. It's more personal stories, and including mine. And then the third book is really more about shamanic healing, different techniques, different teachings of that, and what is behind all of that. So I wrote it as a way to write down everything I know, so to pass it on, and just in case I'm not going to be here, because
it's only about 1,500 pages.
Well, no, I try to make it shorter, but
Okay.
I had cancer, and I thought, if I'm not here, at least people can enjoy it. It's not going to get lost.
Good. Yeah, it's
So
your legacy. That's
uh,
great. It's wonderful.
yeah, and I'm
Well,
working on new things now too, on new books.
well, people will keep track of that when they find your website. So, Itzhak Beery, thank you. It's such a joy to talk with you. I'm so glad you could be on the show. And I hope to talk with you again soon.
My pleasure, and be strong and will.
And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter@heartriver, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.